go in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey folks, I am here with Mr. Communication himself, Kevin Neal. Kevin, how you doing?
Doing good, Stan. Glad to be here with you.
Thank you. So you mentioned communication, and I'd like to understand from you, how important is it and how can people use it to better themselves?
Communication is not something that you're born with. You have to grow and learn how to communicate. There are people who are, we say, have the gift of gab, but that's not necessarily communication. Just because you say something doesn't mean that you're communicating. I say that people have this idea of communication because I said it, then I've communicated it. But if the person that you're communicating to does not understand what you're saying, then you're not communicating.
Wow. Now, what are a couple of ways that people could improve the way they communicate? Like, give us 2 or 3 if you have them.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. Most great communicators are storytellers.
Okay.
And most storytellers have embraced their own story. The way that you embrace your own story, and I tell people this all the time, if you don't embrace your own story, if you don't embrace your ups and downs, your goods and bads, and put them all together and realize that that's your story, if you don't do that, you become an extra in someone else's story. So I say that you have to be the headliner of your own story.
Be the headliner of your own story. What's some aspects of your story that you've decided it was time for you to headline?
Some aspects of my story. Well, I'll tell this story. In 2020, I had to go into treatment for cancer. My father had passed away 9 months before. Now, everybody that knows me knows how important and influential my father was. My father passed away 9 months before, and 9 months after, I get this call from my doctor saying, you're going to have to go in and start having chemo treatments, stem cell transplant, and all that. My story was I began speaking, and I became a minister when I was a teenager. Up until that time, I never had seen someone who was helping people, building people, and sharing as I was outside of the walls of the church. And I never saw that modeled, but when I got that diagnosis, I realized that that was not what was planned for my life. That was not my purpose. My purpose was to add value to people, but not just people within those 4 walls.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So as we kind of move, on from this, what can someone who wants to get better at telling their story do? What should the person who wants to get better at telling their story do first?
The person that wants to get better at telling their story, number one, you have to accept the good and the bad. Realize that everything that good that has happened to you is not you. Everything that bad that has happened to you is not you. But you put them all together, that's you. And when you accept that and you realize that everybody has things going on in their lives. No one has a beautiful life that no problems ever come. And I know social media has given us a false sense of what real life is, but social media is fake. we share all these good things and people think that, oh, they have such a wonderful life, but they're not telling you the bad things that they're having. So we have to put those things together and say, just because I had this bad experience, that's not me. Just because these things happened in my life, I made some bad decisions, I made some bad choices, but that doesn't mean that's me. What do I become after those bad choices, those bad decisions, and the good things as well? What happens to me beyond that? That's my story. I have to craft my story along with all those things that have happened to me and say, okay, where do I go from here?
Wow. So thank you very much. This has been me with Kevin Neal, and understanding the good with the bad makes the most amazing story go round. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate
Thank you.